We're going to talk about an easy way to find neutral pelvis and neutral spine positioning when you're doing exercises on your back. Being in a neutral position is really important if you're trying to access your deep core. That deep core is your respiratory diaphragm, your pelvic floor, and your abdominals, your transverse abdominis. And so when we're in neutral, we can better access those big three muscles that are so essential if we are trying to manage back pain or hip pain, or if we have diastasis or pelvic symptoms that we don't want. We know when we can focus on those big three that we can change symptoms. Oftentimes when we're on our back, two things happen that need correction. One is a rib thrust, and the second thing that we're cued a lot with is pushing our back down into the mat. And instead of pushing our back down into the mat, I'd rather replace that language with maintaining a neutral pelvis. So if we look at my spinal model here, this is the low back, and this is the pelvis, the front of the pelvis. And so you can see that my fingers slide under here, that there is a gentle curve that should be present here. When that happens, the top of my core, which is my respiratory diaphragm, and the bottom of my core, which is my pelvic floor, are aligned to where they can communicate and respond to each other, okay? So that's pretty important. If I come into a flat back position, I have tucked my pelvis under, I have flattened my low back, and now my respiratory diaphragm and my pelvic floor don't quite align in order to communicate better. So the first thing we're going to talk about when finding a good position on your back is your rib placement. And the second thing we'll talk about is an easy way to find your low back and your pelvic neutral positioning. So, self-assess, and you're going to check the front points of your ribs. Okay, for me, I don't know how easily you can tell this, but they are popped up or thrusted upward. Now, if I had diastasis or pelvic symptoms that I was trying to work on, I would want my diaphragm and my pelvic floor to communicate better in my core so that I could get rid of those symptoms. So a really easy way to fix your rib position when you're doing exercises on your back is just a little bit of a prop. You could use whatever you wanted here. It doesn't have to be fancy yoga blankets, although they're really nice. If you do have them, you could do two blankets to make this prop. I also have a little half foam roller under there as well, but an extra pillow or a yoga block could work, okay? But really, the reason for this video today is to take a look at lumbar and pelvic neutral. So if I take this part of my hands, so the palms of my hands, and I put them on my two front stick out bones, and then I take my fingers and point them and place them on top of my pubic bone, what I should be drawing with my hands is a triangle. So that if I push my back down, right now my pubic bone is higher than my hip bones. Not only am I using my rectus abdominis, which is my superficial layer of abdominal muscles, but I'm also tucking my bottom and flattening my lumbar curve. Now, if I were to go in the other direction, now I have a big curve. I don't know how much you can tell that. My hand can slide under there very easily. And my two hip bones at my palms are higher than my pubic bone. So really, the easy thing to do here is just keep your triangle flat. Keep your triangle in neutral. When I'm here, now my ribs are placed well, my spine is placed well, my pelvic floor is in a great position in order for me to get that coordination that I need between the top of my core the center of my core, and the bottom of my core. So try that when you're doing any exercises on your back, and see if you are better able to tap into that really deep and resilient core. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Thanks.